Let's talk Marked for the Pyre by M.T. Fontaine, coming out August 30th of this year. Today. You can go and buy it today. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Kris, and today's video is the Marked for the Pyre book review. This is book 2 in the Brands of Talgear, follow-up to Carved Amidst the Shadows, which you've heard me talk about incessantly since I read it. Needless to say, the sequel was awesome, and I had a really good time with it. The author's birthday is August 31st, so I think, as a birthday present, you should probably go and buy Carved Amidst the Shadows and also Marked for the Pyre. If you are dark political fantasy fans, then it's absolutely time to jump into this series with book 2 arriving now. Now, I will apologize if the audio is a bit whacked for this video and also the TBR coming out on Saturday. I've got a new mic and I'm just trying to figure out where it sits best to not rub against clothing or my beard or whatever to make this as audibly pleasant as possible for you. So apologies if there are any mishaps. Before we jump into the review, make sure you're checking the description box down below for links to my social media and Discord, should you want to come along for the ride. Now, I will also say that this book review is going to contain spoilers for book 1, Carved Amidst the Shadows, when I talk about the plot. So if you have not read the first book, maybe tap out of this review and come back at a later date. Marked for the Pyre is a sequel you do not want to miss. The stakes are high, the daggers are sharp, and the order is just around the corner. Cayenne and Andreas have a lot to prove, not only to the political parties at play, but also to themselves. They are determined to form an alliance between the marked, people who are birthed with a mark on their arm, to show that they're allowed within a certain amount of lands, they're born into a family, and it's how the order has control over these people. They also want to build this alliance between the marked with the carved, people who have gotten rid of their marks by either no fault of their own or by actually taking it from their arms. They've sliced it off, they've been burned, the limb has been lost in some way, shape, or form, and they are essentially outcasts. Creating an alliance between those two groups is going to be difficult. There are age-old discriminations and beliefs which may prove impossible to work through. The carved blame the marked for centuries of genocide against their people, a debt which is never going to be repaired or forgiven. And on the other side of that, the marked believe the carved are savages, living a nomadic lifestyle and plotting against their every move. But to overthrow the stewards and the order which is just around the corner and their hold that they have on the entire world, these two groups are going to need to find a way to work together if they ever want to taste freedom again. Now we have our characters. We have hot-headed Cayenne, who is as quick with her words as she is with a blade, and she will stop at nothing. Nothing to bring these two groups together. She's armed, and she seemingly has a mysterious, powerful ally, which we'll get to soon, on her side, sending no-go's creatures to her with letters of advice. We also have Andreas, who doesn't quite see the upcoming war in the same way and pleads for patience. Unfortunately for them both, time is not on their side. And finally, we have Steward Rao. He's caught wind of their plotting and the reinforcements are on their way. The order is coming and they do not take kindly to their power being questioned. This book was brutal and a stellar follow-up book to Carved Amidst the Shadows. This world expands tenfold. The characters continue to be shaped as they find their place in the world, and the magic ramps up so much that it almost explodes off the page. Fontaine has done an excellent job of world building in this second installment. Now that our characters have sort of taken their place in the bigger story, more or less, we get to see this world expand and really start to understand some of the limitations. We spend a fair amount of time exploring the borders and looking at their restrictions and working out how, if any of our crew can make it past the magical barriers, which will incinerate them as they try and get through to a different land. We also have this moment where secret pockets of land are discovered, which I thought was really cool, and the world is now teeming with Nogos creatures, which are just so awesome. Secret pockets of land are also being discovered, and I thought that was a really cool aspect, which really plays into these borders and the air of mystery around them. And The world is now teeming with mythical beasts which are just awesome to follow. Nogo's creatures are abundant in this book. We have things like worms, we've got dragons, we've got griffins, we even have a friggin' basilisk, and they were mystical, they're beautiful, and I cannot stress this enough, they are terrifying. Adding this element to the story made this world seem so much more fantastical to me as a reader, and I couldn't wait to see what creature turned up on the page next. Not only is the world bigger, but the parts that our characters play in their roles certainly have more of an impact in Book 2. Their decisions come with major consequences, some of which are foretold and some of which really leave the reader stunned. Cayenne and Andreas are two very different people who are working towards a similar goal, but they rarely have the same reasoning, and that is where they can butt heads. But the character with the biggest amount of growth here is going to be our steward Rao, and also a new character called Sephirin. Rao is still a very old, very cranky steward who believes that he is right in everything that he does and that the order is correct in what they're trying to do, until he doesn't. In Book 2, we get much more of an insight into Rao, his past with the Order, and the centuries that he was with them in a different location, but I don't want to go into that too much for fear of spoilers. I just want to let you know, if you did like Rao in Book 1, you're absolutely going to love Rao in Book 2. The newest player in the game is Sephirin. He is, I would say, an almost godlike entity. He's a character who had been exiled from the Order and was thought dead, but he is now very much alive, very much overseeing what is happening within this world and trying to put his own elements into the political games that are being played. He didn't have a whole lot of page time, but he feels oh so very present in every move that is made throughout the story. He's watching them from afar, the game seems like it's in his hands, and it leads me into the magic that has really been abundant throughout this second installment. March for the Pyre gives the readers a greater look at the magic system used in the world, or the magic of the world, called Drin. The Drin is manipulated by the stewards from everyday people as well as those within their own order. We learn that there are now multiple classes within the order, which was touched upon in Book 1 but very much expanded in Book 2, and that the stewards can do a variety of different things. And trust me when I say that all of them are fairly devastating. The Order is here, and they are not afraid to throw their power around. From those who can see into the minds of people for miles and miles, those who can harness the strength of 100 people to achieve their goals, and we cannot forget the people who can literally take the energy of another human being and turn them into dust. Like I said, not great effects for the people who are on the receiving end of these stewards. This was a hell of a sequel, and each chapter really built up those stakes for a crazy last 200 pages. I was holding my Kindle walking into walls because I did not want to put it down. I stayed up late, which is a thing that I don't do, and I just really loved the story. I consumed it, or it consumed me. I don't know, whatever floats your boat there. Empty Fontaine has become one of my favorite author discoveries of 2023. I don't see that changing anytime soon. I will likely reread the first two books when the third book is announced, and yes, I am already so ready and waiting for Book 3, so I may even reread these ones just to get a taste of the world, which is something I don't do all that often. What do you think about Marked for the Pyre? Have you read Carved Amidst the Shadows? Are you going to pick these books up? If you have, let me know in the comments down below. If you like the content, give it one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will. I'll catch you in the next video. And again, I apologize for any weirdness of the microphone. Alright, ciao.